word families. Now, when you meet new vocabulary, it's so important to write it down, to record it in some way. Otherwise, it's impossible to remember. So you need to record new vocabulary, and recording them in word families is a really useful tool. So word families are groups of words that have a common feature, pattern, or meaning. We're going to have a look at some different examples. So if we think about the word happy, well, happy is an adjective. This first word family, we're going to build it around the form, the grammatical form of the word. So I'm thinking about nouns, verbs, adjectives, and adverbs. So taking the word happy, I've built a word family on the form of the word. Is it a noun, happiness? A verb, to be happy, an adjective, happy, or the adverb, happily. So this first example is creating a word family based on the grammatical meaning. Now, some students like to do this. Some have this very grammatical kind of way of thinking. Different students have different approaches, but this is one way you can store and build vocabulary. Let's look at another one. This time, I've built the word family around the meaning of the word. So, to employ, the verb employ, I've got the synonym, the word with the same meaning, and I've got an antonym, word with an opposite meaning. So, to employ, a synonym is to hire. And the opposite meaning, well, to fire someone or to sack someone. So again, depends on your way of learning. You might like to create your word families based around the meaning of the word. It's a very popular tool, this one. Okay, another practice opportunity. So you can see we've got some vocabulary on the left. Some nice adjectives here: responsible, funny, patient, confident, and cautious. Now, can you think of a synonym, a word with a similar meaning, and a word with an opposite meaning, the antonym for each one of these? So, first word, responsible. Can you think a word with a similar meaning? And then a word with the opposite meaning. So we'll just pause a moment here, have a think. Choose a word you're comfortable with on the left. You don't have to complete the whole table now. It's just to give you an idea of what you can do when you're storing your vocabulary. Okay, well, let's look at some possible answers. And of course, there are lots of different variations here. These are just my suggestions. So responsible means dependable. Opposite word, again, we've got a nice prefix here, irresponsible. If you're funny, then you're humorous. The opposite here is serious. Someone who is patient is easygoing. The opposite, using another prefix, impatient. If you're confident, then you are assured. Your antonym, your opposite word, could be timid or shy. And if you're cautious, then you're very careful. And the opposite would be reckless. So hopefully here you can see what a nice way this is of growing your vocabulary. You come across an adjective, if you put it into this kind of table, you triple your word usage. It's a really nice way of storing and remembering. Okay, and the final type of word family is to build one based on the topic. So if our example is newspaper, here I've built a word family around the topic of the word. So basically I've brainstormed, I've thought of all the different words I can connected to this word in the middle, newspaper. So I've got publisher, journalist, article, headline, feature, print, tabloid, broadsheet, media, press. I've brainstormed any kind of word I can think of connected to this topic. So that's 3 different types of word families you can create. Remember, the first type was based on the form, verbs, nouns, adjectives. The second type built on the meaning. So you're thinking about words with similar meanings, words with opposite meanings. And finally, thinking about the topic and then brainstorming. And whichever way you choose depends on your learning style. The important thing is that you're noting down the vocabulary, so you're making a record of it. And before we move on to questions today, the last point about building vocabulary is reading. Reading is a great way to increase your vocabulary, and whatever your level, you can find authentic, by that I mean real English for real English speakers, reading material. Especially nowadays with the internet, there's so much out there that you can access that's native English reading material, and it's such a great way to build your vocabulary. It's important because when you read, you see how the word is used, you see the context. You're more likely to remember the word if you think about the context, the topic it's used in. And it helps you to infer meaning. So it helps you to work out what a new word means without having to look it up, which again is a really useful skill.